Thanks for checking out this video. So this is it. These are my overall picks for the 1990s for our 1990s horror movie superlative series I'm doing with your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. So again, for the final time for a little bit, because we are stepping away from the series for a little bit of time. I don't know how long. We will come back at some point, maybe do the 2000s, maybe do the 60s. I don't know yet, but we do want to kind of step away from this a little bit, let ourselves breathe some, because it's a lot of work to try and watch as many movies as possible for these decades. We've covered 30 years at this point, because we did 70s, 80s, and 90s now. So it's a lot of work. So we want to shift to something different. It's not, we're not doing nothing. We're going to have another series that we're going to work on, and that one's actually going to come out not weekly, but bi-weekly, just to kind of give ourselves a little bit more of a break with our other content we have on our channels. So, yeah, I will tell you what it's going to be at the end of this video. Uncle Pete, in his video, just so you know, says that he wasn't going to tell you then, but since he already recorded his video, he and I have talked, and we decided it's probably better to get people a little bit excited about what's coming. It's not going to be coming like next week or anything like that. We might take about a month off or so just to get things in order and then start putting the videos out. But I'll tell you at the end of this video, again, watch my video for my overall picks. Watch his video for overall picks. His channel's linked in the description. Subscribe to both our channels if you haven't already. It's been a long series, so you should have by now if you like us. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when we're putting up new videos. All that jazz. Also, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth on these movies that are my picks, because I already did in all my yearly, the ones for each year where I actually initially picked them. So it was from the pool, again, of what we've already picked for this decade. So I'm not going to give you like a synopsis of the film or anything like that. So I'm going to say a little bit. All right, so going on to the Most Amazing. The runner-up for Most Amazing was my pick from 1992, Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a phenomenal film. Francis Ford Coppola did it, obviously. The performances are really good, including Gary Oldman, and a lot of people talk about his performance in this film as being phenomenal, although I think pretty much everyone did a really good job. Looks amazing. It is probably the best adaptation of Dracula I've ever seen, and it speaks for itself when you watch it. So that's my runner-up for Most Amazing. My winner for Most Amazing, probably not a big surprise to many people, Silence of the Lambs from 1991. This film, oftentimes called a thriller, but let's call it what it is. It's horror. It's got cannibalism. It's got a lot of tension and dread baked into it. Obviously, the performance is top-notch. Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins are the big ones. It's very tense, and even though it's a little bit of like a police procedural, it's also terrifying, especially when Hannibal Lecter gets loose. I mean, it's got amazing characters to it. It's got amazing story, amazing pacing, all that great stuff. So it is my winner for the 1990s for the Most Amazing film. From 1991, Silence of the Lambs. Now going on to the Best So Bad It's Good. My runner-up for the Best So Bad It's Good is the 1994 film Mosquito. I love Mosquito so much for how bad it is. Obviously, yes, the acting is horrendous, but Gunnar Hansen, you can tell, is having an amazing time playing this character. He's actually said that he loved it as his favorite role he's played. And it's just fun. It's ridiculous, stupid fun, has really good practical effects, has a lot of good blood and people dying and gore, but it also has a lot of cool mosquito ooze. Green ooze for some reason, but it's just fun. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. So that's why my runner-up for Best So Bad It's Good is Mosquito from 1994. Now my winner for the Best So Bad It's Good. Sorry, it's gotta be Troll 2. Yes, I have the 1 and 2 pack, but it's called the Best So Bad It's Good film, and it kind of started the whole craze of Best So Bad It's Good films, also with The Room. But for horror, Troll 2 really did it, and it's just hilarious to me that Fragasso, the director of it, Claudio Fragasso, still thinks that this is actually a good film. Anyone who watches this, it could easily be called a WTF film because it's so ridiculous. Everything is out of left field. It is just a stupid premise. terrible acting, ridiculously bad practical effects and costuming, all that stuff. It is a laugh riot for the most part, and it wasn't supposed to be. And its place as the best so bad it's good film for the 1990s, I think, in my opinion, is undeniable. It is the king. It is the top of the worst. So that's why Troll 2 is my pick for the best so bad it's good film from 1990 for the 90s. Wonderful. Love it. So now going to the most WTF category. And my runner-up is also from 1990. This film, if you've ever seen it, has so many WTF moments, mainly because things are very left field all the time. And that film is Demon Wind. I'm going to watch and review this at some point. I've already seen it, but I just didn't watch it to review it. But if you've seen it, you know, like, nothing makes sense in this film. Every choice from moment to moment is totally left field. So many times you're just going to be like, WTF, because you don't know what's happening. You don't know why these choices are being made. The acting is horrendously bad. Like, so much about this film is really, really WTF. And it doesn't even make sense. Like, there's no story that really even makes sense in this film, and the characters are so over the top and ridiculous. Everything is over the top and ridiculous. So that is why Demon Wind from 1990 is my runner-up pick for the most WTF film in the 90s. That leads me to my most WTF pick. And if you've seen this film, you know, the 1999 film Audition by Takashi Miike. This film is a very good film, actually, but it's also hard to watch. The main reason I'm picking it as the most WTF is because I cannot think of another film from the 90s that made me say WTF out loud more than this film, and it's because of the big turn that this film takes towards the end. Again, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It is over the top, it is brutal, it is shocking. It is a lot to handle for a lot of people. So WTF, especially because the film sets you up to think it's something that it ends up not being, and once the bottom drops out, it is supreme WTF. So that is why my pick for most WTF for the 90s, from 1999, Audition. Now going on to the best gore. Now the runner-up for best gore is a really fun film. When it came out, a lot of people didn't even like it for some stupid reason, but it is great. Well, I shouldn't say some stupid reason. The reason I think a lot of people didn't like it is it feels like it's two films mashed together, and it basically is, but that was the intent of it, and I like that, because once things change, you're very much like, what is going on? That is Quentin Tarantino's 1996 film From Dusk Till Dawn. Unbelievable gore in this film. It's also just a really fun film with great performances, including George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino himself, Salma Hayek, Juliette Lewis. Oh no. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Harvey Keitel, there it is. Fred Williamson, Tom Savini. I mean, the cast alone should get you to watch this if you haven't seen it. But the gore is phenomenal. They went all out on the practical effects. There's so much blood. It's vampire stuff, as you can probably tell from the title if you haven't seen it. And the vampires blow up. The vampires get destroyed in many ways with blood just flying all over the place. People get bitten up. There's just an orgy of carnage at the end of the film with amazing practical effects. There's even that moment where the mariachi band is playing instruments that are made out of people's body parts. Yes, love it. So good. So that is why this is my runner-up pick for the best gore From Dusk Till Dawn from 1996. Now, this should not be a surprise. If you've been following this series, you probably know what my number one pick is for best gore for the 90s, and I'm assuming it's probably going to be Uncle Pete's pick too, 1992's Dead Alive. There is no film in my mind that has more and better gore than this film. It just keeps going. It is over the top. It is ridiculous, but it is ridiculously fun. The pacing in this film is amazing, and it's driven by all the cool gore gags that seem to just be one-upping the previous one that they had every single time you see a gore gag. Peter Jackson did this. He was phenomenal with this film. I wish he would do something else like this. I cannot believe this was kind of like a low-budget film because of how much gore and amazing practical effects is in it. And it just keeps going bigger, 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 including the lawnmower scene where there's just carnage everywhere, just body parts, blood, everything's flying. This film is supreme gore, in my opinion, and I love it, and it's so much fun. So that is why Dead Alive is my pick for the best gore from 1992. But it does it for the whole 90s. Now going on to the most unique category. My runner-up for the most unique film is 1992's Candyman. Now, created a new, very iconic villain. Unfortunately, the sequels weren't great for people, but this film stands alone as something amazing. Tony Todd injected so much amazing life into the character of Candyman. It's legitimately scary. It deals with the topic of racial divide in a very messed up way, but it's done really well. So it's very kind of bringing it into the social conscience, which in what was the year of it? 1992. That stuff wasn't really being put into film all that much, at least not that I'm that aware of. And it was very in your face. It was a large statement within the film, and I think that's part of the uniqueness to it. But another big part of the unique aspect of it is the creation of this new iconic villain of Candyman. He is ridiculously scary. He is ominous. He is everywhere. Like, kind of like Freddy Krueger, he feels like he can't be escaped to some degree. And it's a phenomenal film, and so that's why my pick is Candyman from 1992 for runner-up for the most unique. Now, that's where my visual aids stop, because I don't own the other ones. So my winner for most unique from 1998, Ringu. The original film that spawned the American remake, The Ring, that was very popular. Very interesting film. It is ridiculous to watch that film and realize now what it must have been like to see it when it came out. Groundbreaking, very interesting. The concept of just having like a VHS tape that people watch and then days later they end up dying from it. Very interesting. The visuals are really interesting. It kicked off a big movement of J-horror for the most part. And then a lot of other stuff showed up, kind of like The Grudge and other films like that. It didn't create its own style, but it popularized a style that had been used before that wasn't that popular, especially in other countries. Prior to Ringu, this type of film was not really being paid attention to in the United States, and this film is what did it. I mean, obviously, it's because of the remake in the United States, and then some people were like, oh, well, let me see the original, which is very interesting. Very different budget-wise, you can tell that, but it is a extremely unique film, and that is why Ringu is my pick for most unique from 1998. Now the most overrated. I hope I don't piss people off too much with this one, but I probably already have with these picks from their respective years. My most underrated runner-up, Scream 2 from 1997. It is a far drop from the first Scream film, which I do think is a very good film. I picked it as most amazing for its year. It tries to do something similar to what the first film did, but it just doesn't work. That's the type of concept that really only works one time, and they just try and cash in on it again. Whereas in the first film, it's kind of parody of itself. It's making fun of slashers. In the second film, it doesn't work the same. Like, you already know the concept, and it just doesn't work the same. And it's been very popular. A lot of people love the entire Scream franchise. That's fine. I just think that Scream 2 just does not hold up. I don't think it's that good of a film. And I just think the hype is, like, through the roof for the most part, for it being such a far drop from the first film. So that's why my runner-up for most overrated from 1997, Scream 2. My number one most overrated, and again, this isn't overrated when it came out. This is overrated now and how big of a film it is. It's still very much talked about. People revere it. It's very important historically because it kicked off an entire subgenre of horror, but that is 1999's The Blair Witch Project. If you watch it now, it is not a very fun film to watch. It is severely slow. It is plotting. On one viewing, before you've seen any other found footage movies, it's very effective. It is phenomenal. I guarantee when it came out, it was unbelievable, and the experience was unbelievable. So that's why I'm saying it's not a bad film. It was very much of its time. As it's aged, it doesn't age that well because there's been a lot of found footage that has come after that has been so much better. It's been honed in as a subgenre. But that's not really the fault of the people who made the Blair Witch Project, because they created the subgenre, basically. Well, they popularized this subgenre. There have been some other films that were like that, but they popularized it. So obviously, a lot of people who come after are going to make it bigger and better and refine things. So, but the Blair Witch Project from 1999, my pick for most overrated currently. Now the most underrated, my favorite category. I love this category. My runner-up from 1996, The Frighteners. It is a bigger budget film, and that's why I think a lot of people don't talk about it, or a lot of people haven't watched it. It has Michael J. Fox, so it seems like, oh, it's big studio, it's higher production, it's not going to be as fun, it's not as, like, in with the horror community. But it is such a fun film. It's very well done. I believe it's just a PG-13, and it's a wonderful PG-13. The performances are phenomenal. Jeffrey Combs is in it as well. The premise is super interesting and actually pretty unique, so you could use this as a unique film for the 90s. But it is just a joyride. Great performances, great effects, great premise. The story is very, very intriguing. And it's just fun. I don't hear people talk about this film like barely ever, unless I bring it up, and I think it needs a lot of attention. It is phenomenal. It's better than Teen Wolf, I'll tell you that much. Thinking of another Michael J. Fox horror-ish film, Teen Wolf is great, but this film, even better. So that is why my runner-up for most underrated has got to be The Frighteners from 1996. Now, my main pick, my overall pick, best pick for most underrated for the 90s, I picked this over The Frighteners. It was a tough decision because I have heard nobody talk about this film. Sometimes I've heard people talk about Frighteners, and it's usually when I bring it up, people are like, oh yeah, I've seen The Frighteners, I really like it. This film, the majority of people I bring it up to, they're like, I have no idea what that film is. So that is why it is more underrated, in my opinion, than The Frighteners, and that is 1990's The Reflecting Skin. It's a disturbing film. It's a very weird film, but it is very effective. It's shot extremely well. There's a lot of metaphor at play in the film that is very, very dense. You'll probably need to watch it numerous times in order to pick things apart. I've only watched it once, actually, I think. No, twice. And I need to watch it again, and I need to watch it to actually, do a review on it and really pick it apart, really analyze the film. There's a lot of WTF moments in the film. It is uncomfortable at times. It is a very weird concept, but it works so well. It looks amazing. Has really good acting in it, including Viggo Mortensen before he really got big. It's a phenomenal film. So that is why 1990's The Reflecting Skin is my number one pick for the 90s for the most underrated. So that's it. Obviously, now go watch your Friendly Neighborhood Uncle Pete's video, or if you've already watched that, you can go to my community tab. Vote on who you think had the best overall picks for the 1990s, and we'll see who ends up winning in the end. Big thank you for everyone sticking with us throughout this. I know a lot of people have been having fun with it. We have been having fun with it, even though it has been a lot of work, but especially the engagement we get. You guys' comments do mean a lot, and it's a lot of fun. And it's also brought to light a lot of films that we have not seen that you're putting a spotlight on and saying, you guys need to watch this. It's going on our lists, basically. We may not get to them immediately, but we're going to check them out. So now I will reveal what the next series will be for your Friendly Neighborhood Uncle Pete and I. We don't have a set date yet for when we're going to release the first video. This is early stages where we worked out a list of topics. We're going to do a horror debate series where basically we will choose one topic. It's kind of a question or a statement to make a choice. Something kind of like, what is the best horror remake? And we each have to pick a different film. And in our respective videos, we make our argument as to why we think what we chose was the best. It's not always going to be something like that. It can be another interesting debate topic, like more abstract, more like big concept. We have a whole big list that we worked up together of potential topics, but I would like to get some more topics from you guys. Put it in the comments, any horror debate topics you'd like us to cover. There may be instances, though, just so you know, where someone has to take a side of a debate that wouldn't be their initial choice, but we're going to do it anyway. Because there are ones where it's kind of like a yes-no question, and we might be both on the side of yes, but for the sake of doing the debate and seeing who can debate it better, we're going to have someone do the no in that instance. So it should be a lot of fun. We have a lot of interesting topics, but like I said, put some in the comments that you'd like us to cover, and we'll get to it. And there obviously is going to be a voting aspect to it, so we'll keep doing the voting, much like the superlative series we've been doing on my community tab. So you can vote for Uncle Peter I, and tell us for each topic who you think convinced you the most of their choice, or their choice against their will, kind of, in some instances maybe. But it's about the art of the horror debate. So should be a lot of fun. Love to hear you guys' ideas on that. Once again, thanks for checking this out. Really do appreciate it. Subscribe to both our channels. Hit the notification bell buttons on both our channels. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching this video and every video I've ever watched. It really does mean a lot. Until next time, keep it brutal.